Is it on? Good. Trim removal on a model car. One of the big custom things to do in the 50s was to remove the stock trim and to do some and replace it with some custom work. Customized trim, usually out of other stock pieces. So you can remove the trim off of this, like this 49 Ford. You can remove the trim various ways, either with a Dremel tool and grind it off, or we could take an X-Acto knife and carefully just start scraping it out, which is what I'm going to do here. Another thing to do and to remember is that with these kits, especially these 49 Ford kits and the Mercuries from AMT, is the molds are very old, and so it's a good idea to go through, before you even start anything, is just to go through and re-scribe these lines, because they're very shallow, like you noticed. I already scratched through. I already got off on this. Now I'll just see if I can do to. Looks like I'm not having a very good luck with this today. As I'm going to get it down. My next trick is to do is start sanding this out, start smoothing this out a little bit. Trying to be careful not to get too focused into one area, go in one direction. Otherwise, you can start putting a divot into the bodywork. So you got to always keep your mind, keep thinking about that as well. And don't let the fact that you've got the bodywork partially gouged up bother you. You'll be cutting over that soon enough. That's pretty close. What do you think? Try and get in here and re-scribe the lines if you can. Again. Another trick I learned was from Bob Robinson and Ron Martinovich, and that is, once you remove any kind of trim like this, plastic has memory. So no matter how well I'm going to sand this out, putty over it and everything, as soon as I shoot some primer and color on it, as soon as I get color on it, suddenly you're going to see this strip pop back up. You got to get rid of that. One trick I learned from Ron Martinovich and Bob Robinson was take some super glue and you run it over the area of the trim you just removed take your finger, just kind of do this. And now you've got, now that you got glue on your fingers, what do you do? On the inside. And yeah, really. Now, while this glue is happening like this, take your X-Acto knife blade and again go through your door lines. You got to keep maintaining those while you're doing this work, because otherwise it's going to, when it dries, oh great, when it dries, you're not going to be able to. It's going to be more difficult to scribe the lines out. Now, what you do now is you let this set for about several hours, if not maybe a day, maybe 24 hours. You let it set off to the side, and you just, and then you sand it out. Which is what I've done on this 1950 convertible. Like this side, I've removed the trim, the stock trim, and then I did the glue smear, super glue smear, and sanded it out. And I've got this putty on here. You use your favorite putty, and right now I cannot find. Yes I do. I use Squadron White, and it's strictly a surface putty. That's all it is. And what I did is, again, is I smeared it into the area. I then took my X-Acto knife blade, and while it was still wet, I re-scribed my lines again. And then it's just a simple matter of sanding it out. I would start with some 220, or maybe even this and some 220, then sand it down to with some 320, then some 400, and then some 600. And while you're working this and sanding it out, you're going back every so often with your knife, and you're cleaning out your door lines with an X-Acto knife blade. And it's just to keep the junk out of it. There are some other cars that you can use that makes filling in trim and smoothing things out go a lot better. Like, for instance, this Revell 58 Impala. The origins of this kit is this originated as a die cast, and which you can see all the chrome trim is stick-in. Is that you got troughs here and everything. Thanks to Dave Fletcher, when it came to filling in, instead of using evergreen strips to fill in and sand out, he suggested, well, at least on this Impala, why don't I just glue in my chrome trim and then sand it down, which is what I'm starting to do here. My intention on this is to just run a single spear down, keep the single spear going down the side here. I got the inspiration for that out of one of my mini reference books. This one called Custom Land, written by Tom Taylor. And this car came in through Larry Watson's shop about 1958-59. As soon as I can get to it, please be patient. Time. As you can see from the book, how do you want to put it? It's just down here like this. As you can see, once you clean up all the crap off of the body that came stock from the factory, this actually looks like a pretty nice, clean, decent, mild custom. And so that's what my intention is you notice what he's done here is when this the front end is pretty much stock. He's cleaned a lot of the bric-a-brac off, except for the spear down the middle here. And the only other thing he's done with this is outside of one of his trademark panel paint jobs is the taillights here. These taillights here are plexiglass. So I don't know where I'm going to dig the taillights out of that one, but we'll find something. Okay. Say you want to do some more custom work on this, like say change the taillights. What I've done here was I dug a set of round taillights out of the 1956 Ford, Victoria. These are the two little round taillights. Can you see that? These are the two little round custom dome taillights that come out of the 56 Victoria. And those look pretty close to either Oldsmobile or Pontiac taillights. So all I did is I just measured up, took some evergreen styrene, and they make these in various sizes and shapes and everything, and they got some tube styrene, and it matches the diameter just exactly. So the next trick is to see whether if I can get this left one to match the right one. First, let's cut the size of this down a tad. See if I don't cut myself first. That's good enough. Do yourself a favor when you're doing custom work and any kind of model work, get yourself some dial calipers, and also somewhere along the line pick up some fine, various shapes files. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put a slight little groove for the taillight mounting, so it can mount. I'm intending to keep the wind splints here. So the intention is what I just did is I just filed a small little groove right in through here with my half round, and hopefully this will glue up just right on top of there. It looks like it will, but let's do a little extra work here. Another thing to do is go with your wife or your girlfriend into the cosmetic section while she's looking at stuff. Pick up some emery boards in your local local cosmetic section. These are great for model car work. Just going to take this, just a little bit. What I'm doing is I'm putting a slight little flat spot down around towards the. What I'm doing is I'm putting a little groove. I'm putting a little flat spot right here and here, so it'll have something a little more solid for me to mount this tail light to, this extension to. And I'm hoping, I'm eyeballing this right now, but I'm hoping this will work. Isn't that interesting? You can get that just so, and yet it's still slightly off. Not bad. Let it set for about a few minutes. Let's do some pre-measuring. Dad on. Now let the super glue set for a bit, and then you can start. Then you can take some evergreen styrene in one of these smaller sizes and fill the grooves in around here, a little bit in here, which was done here on the right side, and then cut it down, and you'll have matching. You should have eventually matching taillight houses ready for you to put putty on and smooth out, and then primer and paint. And this is how you can do some minor customizing. Not everything has to be a heavy chop on these little shoebox Fords.